class, and we're going to use the power rule for exponents. Now you'll always know the power rule because the power rule, it will always be in parentheses. So in this example, if you have some term that has an exponent and it's in parentheses and you see an exponent on the outside, here's the key with the power rule. It's a parentheses with an exponent on the outside. So when you see a parentheses with the exponent on the outside, what you're going to do, if it already has an exponent, the term, you're going to multiply their exponents together. So m times n equals mn. In terms of a number, that same example, notice 2 has a power of 3. And if you see a power on the outside of the parentheses, you have to multiply the two powers. 3 times 2, that gives you 6. However many members you have inside the parentheses, if you have an exponent on the outside, you have to raise everybody to that power. For example, a to the m power and then b to the m power. In this example, we have x squared y. So since x already has a power and there's a power on the outside, you have to multiply those. That will give you 2 times 3, which is 6. Here, remember this one has a power of 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Whenever you have a fraction, you have to remember to raise both the top and the bottom to that power. So that's going to be a raised to the m power and then b raised to the m power. In a number example, this is 3 raised to the 4th power and then 5 raised to the 4th power. So let's do some examples. In this first example, we have 2 members inside the parentheses. Remember, we must raise both members to that outside power. So this is going to become a to the 8th power and then b to the 8th power. On the next example, all of them have exponents. Remember that c has an exponent of 1. So when they have an exponent inside, you're going to multiply their exponent with the outside exponent. So that's going to be a to the 4th power, because 2 times 2 is 4. Multiply these two with the b's. 5 times 2 is 10, so that's going to be b to the 10th power. 1 times 2 is 2, and c squared. So the answer is going to be a to the 4th power, b to the 10th power, and c squared. Let's do the fraction here. This is going to be 4 squared and then 9 squared. We're going to go ahead and finish solving this. This 4 times 4, which is 16. 9 times 9, which is 81, which is going to leave me with an answer of 16 over 81. Power rule. I want to bring this to your attention. Anytime you have a negative and the negative has an even power for its exponent, it will always equal a positive number. And if you have a negative with an odd number for its exponent, it will always equal a negative number. So again, negatives raised to an even power will always equal a positive. Negatives raised to an odd power will always equal a negative. Remember that because that will help you solve a lot of the problems here in Chapter 5. All right, so let's utilize that power rule of exponents to simplify expressions. Step 1 is to evaluate the coefficient raised to that power, and then multiply each variable's exponent by that power. So let's start with the coefficient first. This is going to be 3 raised to the 4th power and then b to the 4th power. We must solve the numerical part. 3 multiplied 4 times is going to give me 81, so it leaves me with a final answer of 81b to the 4th power. Now, don't worry about trying to solve the variables. You can't solve them unless they tell you what that alphabet equals. If they don't tell you that, leave it alone. You are done with the problems. Don't overthink it or keep trying to solve it. Let's go to the next example. We have 5 raised to the 3rd power. A already has a power of 6. When they have a power, you have to multiply their power, and that's going to give you A to the 18th. So that's going to leave you with 5 cubed A to the 18th. We have to solve the numerical part of it. 5 multiplied 3 times is going to give me 125. So the final answer is 125 A to the 18th power. For the next example, we are going to have 2 raised to the 3rd power. P already have a power, so let's multiply them. 4 times 3, that's going to give me P to the 12th power. Q already has a power, so let's multiply their powers. 5 times 3, that's going to give me Q to the 15th. Lastly, I have to solve the numeric part of it. 2 multiplied 3 times is going to equal 8, and that leaves me with an answer of 8, P to the 12th power, Q to the 15th power. Last example, I have -7 raised to the 2nd power. A already have a power. Let's multiply them. 2 times 2, that's going to give me A to the 4th power. B already has a power. Let's multiply them. 3 times 2, that's going to give me B to the 6th power. C already has a power. Let's multiply them, and that's going to give me C to the 4th power. Lastly, we need to solve the numeric part of it. So recall that an even number of negatives will always equal a positive. So that's going to be -7 squared is going to give me 49, A to the 4th power, B to the 6th power, C to the 4th power, and there you have it, the power rule of exponents. Let's do 2 more applying the power rule. This time you have fractions or rational expressions. So the same rule applies. Remember, you have to raise both the top and the bottom to that power. So let's begin with the first example. That's going to be M raised to the 3rd power. P already has a power, so let's multiply them. 2 times 3. That's going to give me P to the 6th power. Let's go to the bottom. That's going to be N raised to the 3rd power. And there you have it. M to the 3rd power, P to the 6th power over N cubed. Let's go to the next example. On top, let's start with the top first. 4 raised to the 2nd power. X already has a power. Let's multiply them. 4 times 2, that's going to give you X to the 8th. Z already has a power. Let's multiply them. That's going to give you Z to the 4th power. On bottom, Y already has a power. Let's multiply them. That's going to give you Y to the 4th power. Lastly, let's solve the numeric part so that we can get our coefficient. 4 squared is 16, so our coefficient is 16, and there you have it, applying the power rule.